begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahi Mam Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Raksha Mam. Reading from the book Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by His Divine Grace Vishwaguru Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Chapter 5, entitled Meeting of Nanda and Vasudeva. I request all of you to please hear attentively as I am reading. We will stop and we will have quiz based on the portions that we have read. And I request all of you to hear attentively and actively participate in the quiz. Okay, so let us begin. Chapter 5, Meeting of Nanda and Vasudeva. Although Krishna was the real son of Vasudeva and Devaki, because of Kamsa's atrocious activities, Vasudeva could not enjoy the birth ceremony of his son. But Nanda Maharaj, the foster father, celebrated the birth ceremony of Krishna very joyfully. The next day, it was declared that a male child was born of Yashoda. According to Vedic custom, Nanda Maharaj called for learned astrologers and Brahmanas to perform the birth ceremony. After the birth of a child, the astrologers calculate the moment of the birth and make a horoscope of the child's future life. Another ceremony takes place after the birth of the child. The family members take baths, cleanse themselves, and decorate themselves with ornaments and garlands. Then they come before the child and the astrologer to hear of the future life of the child. Nanda Maharaj and other members of the family dressed and sat down in front of the birthplace. All the Brahmanas who were assembled there on this occasion chanted auspicious mantras according to the rituals, while the astrologers performed the birth ceremony. All the demigods are also worshipped on this occasion, as well as the forefathers of the family. Nanda Maharaj distributed 2 lakh well decorated, dressed, and ornamented cows to the Brahmanas. He not only gave cows in charity, but hills of grains decorated with golden bordered garments and many ornaments. In the material world, we possess riches and wealth in many ways, but sometimes not in very honest and pious ways, because that is the nature of accumulating wealth. According to Vedic injunction, therefore, such wealth should be purified by giving cows and gold in charity to the Brahmanas. A newborn child is also purified by giving grains in charity to the Brahmanas. In this material world, it is to be understood that we are always living in a contaminated state. We therefore have to purify the duration of our lives, our possession of wealth, and ourselves. The duration of life is purified by taking daily bath and cleansing the body inside and outside, and accepting the 10 kinds of purificatory processes. By austerities, by worship of the Lord, and by distribution of charity, we can purify the possession of wealth. We can purify ourselves by studying the Vedas, by striving for self realization, and by understanding the supreme absolute truth. It is therefore stated in the Vedic literature that by birth everyone is born a Shudra, and by accepting the purificatory process, one becomes twice born. By studies of the Vedas, one can become Vipra, which is the preliminary qualification for becoming a Brahmana. When one understands the absolute truth in perfection, he is called a Brahmana. And when the Brahmana receives further perfection, he becomes a Vaishnava or a devotee. In that ceremony, all the Brahmanas assembled began to chant different kinds of Vedic mantras to invoke all good fortune for the child. There are different kinds of chanting known as Suta, Magadha, Vandi, and Virudavali. Along with this chanting of mantras and songs, bugles and kettle drums sounded outside the house. On this occasion, the joyous vibrations could be heard in all the pasturing grounds and all the houses. Within and outside of the houses, there were varieties of artistic paintings done with rice pulp, and scented water was sprinkled everywhere, even on the roads and streets. Ceilings and roofs were decorated with different kinds of flags, festoons, and green leaves. The gates were made of green leaves and flowers. All the cows, bulls, and calves were smeared with a mixture of oil and turmeric and painted with minerals like red oxide, yellow clay, and manganese. They wore garlands of peacock feathers and were covered with nice colored dresses and gold necklaces. When all the ecstatic cowherd men heard that Nanda Maharaj, father of Krishna, was celebrating the birth ceremony of his son, they became spontaneously joyful. They dressed themselves with very costly garments and ornamented their bodies with different kinds of earrings and necklaces and wore great turbans on their heads. After dressing themselves in this gorgeous way, they took various kinds of presentations and thus approached the house of Nanda Maharaj. As soon as they heard that Mother Yashoda had given birth to a child, all the cowherd women became overwhelmed with joy, and they also dressed themselves with various kinds of costly garments and ornaments and smeared scented cosmetics on their bodies. As the dust on the lotus flower exhibits the exquisite beauty of the flower, all the gopis or the cowherd girls applied the dust of kumkuma on their lotus like faces. These beautiful gopis took their different presentations and very soon reached the house of Maharaj Nanda. Overburdened with their heavy hips and swollen breasts, the gopis could not proceed very quickly towards the house of Nanda Maharaj, but out of ecstatic love for Krishna, they began to proceed as quickly as possible. Their ears were decorated with pearl rings, their necks were decorated with jewel padlocks, their lips and eyes were decorated with different kinds of lipstick and ointment, and their hands were decorated with nice golden bangles. As they were very hastily passing over the stone road, the flower garlands which were decorating their bodies fell to the ground, and it appeared that a shower of flowers was falling from the sky. From the movement of the different kinds of ornaments on their bodies, they were looking still more beautiful. In this way, they all reached the house of Nanda Yashoda and blessed the child. Dear child, you live long just to protect us. While they were blessing child Krishna in this way, they offered a mixture of turmeric powder with oil, yogurt, milk, and water. They not only sprinkled this mixture on the body of child Krishna, but on all other persons who were present there. Also, on that auspicious occasion, there were different bands of expert musicians playing. When the cowherd men saw the pastimes of the cowherd women, they became very joyful, and in response, they also began to throw yogurt, milk, clarified butter, and water upon the bodies of the gopis. Then both parties began to throw butter on each other's bodies. Nanda Maharaj was also very happy to see the pastimes of the cowherd men and women, and he became very liberal in giving charity to the different singers who were assembled there. Some singers were reciting great verses from the Upanishads and Puranas, some were glorifying the family ancestors, and some were singing very sweet songs. There were also many learned Brahmanas present, and Nanda Maharaj, being very satisfied on this occasion, began to give them different kinds of garments, ornaments, and cows in charity. It is very important to note in this connection how wealthy the inhabitants of Vrindavan were simply by raising cows. All the cowherd men belonged to the Vaishya community, and their business was to protect the cows and cultivate crops. By their dress and ornaments and by their behavior, it appears that although they were in a small village, they still were rich in material possessions. They possessed such an abundance of various kinds of milk products that they were throwing butter lavishly on each other's bodies without restriction. Their wealth was in milk, yogurt, clarified butter, and many other milk products. And by trading their agricultural products, they were rich in various kinds of jewelry, ornaments, and costly dresses. Not only did they possess all these things, but they could give them away in charity, as did Nanda Maharaj. Thus, Nanda Maharaj, the foster father of Lord Krishna, began to satisfy the desires of all the men assembled there. He respectfully received them and gave them in charity whatever they desired. The learned Brahmanas, who had no other source of income, were completely dependent on the Vaishya and Kshatriya communities for their maintenance, and they received gifts on such festive occasions as birthdays, marriages, etc. While Nanda Maharaj was worshipping Lord Vishnu on this occasion and was trying to satisfy all the people there, his only desire was that the newborn child Krishna would be happy. Nanda Maharaj had no knowledge that this child was the origin of Vishnu, but he was praying to Lord Vishnu to protect him. Okay, so I hope all of you heard this part, the beginning part of this chapter. We will have a short quiz now. I'm going to ask questions based on this part that we read just now. All you have to do is you have to raise your hand. There is an option on Google Meet to raise your hand. So please raise your hand and I will pick who can answer. Okay, here's your first question. Yes. During the birth ceremony of Lord Krishna, how many well decorated, dressed, and ornamented cows did Nanda Maharaj give in charity to the Brahmanas? Yes, only two people have raised their hands. I want more people to please participate. Yes. Let us hear from Rajashekhar. Yes. What's the answer?
2 lakhs, Prabhu.
Yes. 2 lakh cows were given in charity. 200,000 cows. So, as Prabhupada comments, we can just imagine the amount of opulence that Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherd men of Gokul possessed. Even though they were living in a village and their occupation was cattle rearing and agriculture, but still they were very, very opulent, very rich. So Nanda Maharaj gave 2 lakh well decorated cows to the Brahmanas in charity to celebrate the birth of his son. Okay, the next question. According to the Vedic uh, understanding, the wealth that we possess is contaminated because many a times the wealth is earned through dishonest and impious ways. So, how to purify our wealth according to the Vedic injunctions? How to purify our wealth? Yes, we have. Yes, Krishna Chandra.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Uh, by charity to distribution charity and
Yeah,
worship Lord in that money. Well,
yes, that's the right answer. So, thank you. So, Srila Prabhupada says that by giving gold and cows in charity to the Brahmanas, to qualified Brahmanas, one can purify one's wealth. So wealth has to be purified by giving charity. Okay, the next question. Uh, how can we purify ourselves? Okay, wealth can be purified by giving charity. What about ourselves? How to purify ourselves? Who can answer? Yes, Abhishek. Abhishek
Yeah, Hare
Kumar.
Krishna Prabhu. We can purify ourselves by studying the Vedas
Mhm.
uh, and by knowing the absolute truth, become Brahmana, and then going further, we know the about the Lord, then become Vaishnava.
Yes, very good, right answer. So we can purify ourselves by studying the Vedas, right? Under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. When we study the Vedas, we possess spiritual knowledge because of that. That purifies us because Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, Nahi jnanena sadrusham pavitram iha vidyate. There is nothing as purifying as the transcendental knowledge, especially the knowledge spoken by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. So, to purify ourselves, number one, we have to study the Vedas under the guidance of a bona fide guru. The second thing that we should do is we should strive for self realization. We should understand, we should practically realize that we are not the body, we are soul. We have to come to the platform of spiritual realization. For that, we need to perform sadhana, and third one is to understand the supreme absolute truth, that is Krishna. We have to understand Krishna. But just by understanding Krishna, we can become purified. So these are the three ways that Srila Prabhupada mentions here to become pure, to achieve purity. Studying the Vedas, striving for self-realization, and by understanding the supreme absolute truth. Okay. What is the difference between Vipra and Brahmana? There are two words, Vipra and Brahmana. What is the meaning and what is the difference between the two terms? Who can answer? Others also can. I think you also heard, so you can also attempt. Okay, Rajashekhar.
Vipra means who studied the Vedas, but
Mhm.
Brahmana means who understood the uh, who grasped the understanding of Supreme Lord. This is
Okay.
how I understood, Prabhu.
Yeah, right. Your answer is right. Vipra means one who is expert in studying the Vedas. But just by studying Vedas, one cannot become a qualified Brahmana. So Vipra is the preliminary stage of a Brahmana. Once, after studying the Vedas, if one understands the supreme absolute truth, Brahman, he becomes Brahmana. Brahma janati iti Brahmana. One who understands Brahman. Brahman means the supreme absolute truth. One who understands that Brahman, he is called Brahmana. And then Brahmana is also not the highest perfection. Beyond Brahmana, when one actually further progresses and becomes a devotee of the Supreme Lord, he is called a Vaishnava, and that is the highest perfection. So, Prabhupada very nicely explains gradual development. First of all, he says by default, by birth, everybody is a Shudra. Janmana Jayate Shudra. By birth, everybody is a Shudra. Shudra means unqualified person. Shudra means one who laments unnecessarily. He is called Shudra. So, samskarat bhave dvijaha. By undergoing purificatory processes called samskara, a person can become dvija. Dvija means twice born. So, first birth is from our biological parents. The second birth is when we get initiated by a bona fide spiritual master. That is called Dvijatvam, to become second, to get our second birth. So, from Shudra to become Dvija, we need to take initiation, we need to accept a bona fide spiritual master and follow his instructions. Then, when we study the Vedic scriptures, we become Vipra. Then, when we realize the absolute truth, we become Brahmana. Then, when we make further progress and become a devotee of Krishna, we become Vaishnava. So, these are the progressive stages of human civilization. We are all supposed to actually graduate from Shudra level to Dvija level, from Dvija level to Vipra level, from Vipra level to Brahmana level, and from Brahmana level to Vaishnava level. So that is the process of Krishna consciousness. Okay, the next question. Yes, yeah. So, uh, what what were the items that the women of Gokul they sprinkled on the child Krishna while they were blessing, and they were also sprinkling those items on other people also? What were the items? Yes, Rohan.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavas. The items were
Hare
oiled mixed with turmeric, yogurt,
Mhm.
milk,
Mm.
water, and butter. Prabhu.
Yeah, correct. Right answer. So turmeric mixed with oil, yogurt, milk, and butter. So they were throwing these items on the newborn child Krishna. They were also throwing on other people who were there. They were sprinkling. So this is supposed to be invoking auspiciousness, these items, right? And it also shows that, as Prabhupada comments, it shows that these items, which are generally thought to be very costly in present day Kali Yuga, they were simply thrown and sprinkled on each other's bodies. It means how rich, wealthy, opulent they were. It shows that also. Okay, the next, there were singers who had assembled there. So, can someone tell me what were these singers singing? Those singers had come on the occasion, Nanda Maharaj had called all of them for celebration. What were these singers singing? Yes, Alankrita Mataji.
Upanishads and Puranas.
Okay. That's all?
And glorification of ancestors as well, Lord and ancestors.
Hmm. Okay. And then some of them were also singing sweet songs. So some of them were singing Upanishads and Purana verses. Some of them were glorifying the family ancestors of Nanda Maharaj, and some were singing very sweet songs. Okay. So the next question. Okay, I think we are done with all the points that we had read. We will continue to read now. So I now request you to please hear attentively. We shall continue to read this chapter. And after this, we will have a quiz as well. Rohini Devi, mother of Balaram, was the most fortunate wife of Vasudeva. She was away from her husband, yet, just to congratulate Maharaj Nanda on the occasion of the birth ceremony of his son Krishna, she dressed herself very nicely. Wearing a garland, a necklace, and other bodily ornaments, she appeared on the scene and moved hither and thither. According to the Vedic system, a woman whose husband is not at home does not dress herself very nicely. But although Rohini's husband was away, she still dressed herself on this occasion. From the opulence of the birth ceremony of Krishna, it is very clear that at that time Vrindavan was rich in every respect. Because Lord Krishna took birth in the house of King Nanda and Mother Yashoda, the goddess of fortune was obliged to manifest her opulences in Vrindavan. It appeared that Vrindavan had already become a site for the pastimes of the goddess of fortune. After the birth ceremony, Nanda Maharaj decided to go to Mathura to pay the annual tax to the government of Kamsa. Before leaving, he called for the able cowherd men of the village and asked them to take care of Vrindavan in his absence. When Nanda Maharaj arrived in Mathura, Vasudeva got the news and was very eager to congratulate his friend. He immediately went to the place where Nanda Maharaj was staying. When Vasudeva saw Nanda, he felt that he had regained his life. Nanda, overwhelmed with joy, immediately stood up and embraced Vasudeva. Vasudeva was received very warmly and offered a nice place to sit. At that time, Vasudeva was anxious about his two sons who had been put under the protection of Nanda without Nanda's knowledge. With great anxiety, Vasudeva inquired about them. Both Balaram and Krishna were the sons of Vasudeva. Balaram was transferred to the womb of Rohini, Vasudeva's own wife, but Rohini was kept under the protection of Nanda Maharaj. Krishna was personally delivered to Yashoda and exchanged with her daughter. Nanda Maharaj knew that Balaram was the son of Vasudeva, although he did not know that Krishna was also Vasudeva's son. But Vasudeva was aware of this fact and inquired very eagerly about Krishna and Balaram. Vasudeva then addressed him. My dear brother, you were old enough and very anxious to beget a son, and yet you had none. Now, by the grace of the Lord, you are fortunate to have a very nice son. I think that this incident is very auspicious for you. Dear friend, I was imprisoned by Kamsa, and now I am released. Therefore, this is another birth for me. I had no hope of seeing you again, but by God's grace, I can see you. Vasudeva then expressed his anxiety about Krishna. Krishna was sent incognito to the bed of Mother Yashoda, and after very pompously celebrating his birth ceremony, Nanda went to Mathura. So Vasudeva was very pleased and said, this is a new birth for me. He never expected that Krishna would live because all his other sons were killed by Kamsa. Vasudeva continued, my dear friend, it is very difficult for us to live together. Although we have our family and relatives, sons and daughters, by nature's way, we are generally separated from one another. The reason for this is that every living entity appears on this earth under different pressures of fruitive activities. Although they assemble together, there is no certainty of their remaining together for a long time. According to one's fruitive activities, one has to act differently and thereby be separated. For example, many plants and creepers are floating on the waves of the ocean. Sometimes they come together and sometimes they separate forever. One plant goes one way and another plant goes another. Similarly, our family assembly may be very nice while we are living together, but after some time, in course of the waves of time, we are separated. The purport of this expression by Vasudeva is this. Although he had 8 sons born in the womb of Devaki, unfortunately, they were all gone. He could not even keep his own son Krishna with him. Vasudeva was feeling his separation, but he could not express the real fact. Please tell me about the welfare of Vrindavan, he said. You have many animals. Are they happy? Are they getting sufficient grass and water? Please also let me know whether the place where you are now living is undisturbed and peaceful. This inquiry was made by Vasudeva because he was very anxious about Krishna's safety. He knew that Kamsa and his followers were trying to kill Krishna by sending various kinds of demons. They had already resolved that all children born within 10 days of the birthday of Krishna should be killed. Because Vasudeva was so anxious about Krishna, he inquired about the safety of his residence. He also inquired about Balaram and his mother Rohini, who were entrusted to the care of Nanda Maharaj. Vasudeva also reminded Nanda Maharaj that Balaram did not know his real father. He knows you as his father, and now you have another child, Krishna, and I think you are taking very nice care for both of them. It is also significant that Vasudeva inquired about the welfare of Nanda Maharaja's animals. The animals, and especially the cows, were protected exactly in the manner of one's children. Vasudeva was a Kshatriya and Nanda Maharaj was a Vaishya. It is the duty of the Kshatriya to give protection to the citizens of mankind, and it is the duty of the Vaishyas to give protection to the cows. The cows are as important as the citizens. Just as the human citizens should be given all kinds of protection, so the cows also should be given full protection. Vasudeva continued to say that the maintenance of religious principles, economic development, and the satisfactory execution of meeting the demands of the senses depend on cooperation among relatives, nations, and all humanity. Therefore, it is everyone's duty to see that his fellow citizens and the cows are not put into difficulty. One should see to the peace and comfort of his fellow men and the animals. The development of religious principles, economic development, and sense gratification can then be achieved without difficulty. Vasudeva expressed his sorrow due to not being able to give protection to his own sons born of Devaki. He was thinking that religious principles, economic development, and the satisfaction of his senses were therefore all lost. On hearing this, Nanda Maharaj replied, My dear Vasudeva, I know that you are very much aggrieved because the cruel king Kamsa has killed all your sons born of Devaki. Although the last child was a daughter, Kamsa could not kill her, and she has entered into the celestial planets. My dear friend, do not be aggrieved. We are all being controlled by our past unseen activities. Everyone is subjected to his past deeds, and one who is conversant with the philosophy of karma and its reaction is a man in knowledge. Such a person will not be aggrieved at any incident, happy or miserable. Vasudeva then replied, my dear Nanda, if you have already paid the government taxes, then return soon to your place because I think that there may be some disturbances in Gokul. After the friendly conversation between Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva, Vasudeva returned to his home. The cowherd men, headed by Nanda Maharaj, who had come to Mathura to pay their taxes, also returned. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the fifth chapter of Krishna, entitled Meeting of Nanda and Vasudeva. Okay, here are the questions for this part. What was the reason that Nanda Maharaj went to Mathura? Who can answer? Raise your hand. Yes, a lot of people raising hand this time. Prakhar, yes,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Nan Maharaj went to Mathura to pay the taxes.
yes. So he went to pay his taxes to Kamsa's government, right? So on that reason, for that reason, he went. So even though he went for that reason, after paying his taxes, he actually met Vasudeva because Vasudeva also happened to be a friend of Nanda Maharaj. So they had a friendly relationship. So they met each other. Okay, here's the next question. Uh, yeah, he went to pay the annual tax, Prabhupada says, to be more precise. Yearly once he would go and pay the tax, annual tax to Kamsa's government. Okay, the next question. Uh, yes. Why did uh, Vasudeva say to Nanda Maharaj that you are fortunate? What was the reason? Nanda Maharaj is fortunate, Vasudeva said. Why? Anyone? Yes, Harshit Sethi.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Um,
Hare Krishna.
because Nanda Maharaj could witness the childhood pastimes of Sri Krishna.
Okay, that is your answer. Okay, nice answer. But what uh, is written, what we read is something little different. Okay, Damodar Prabhu, can you please tell
Prabhu,
us the
Vasudeva
reason?
does because
Yes.
Nanda Maharaj is having a very nice son.
Okay. Yes, that's the right answer. Actually, both of your answer is right. To be more precise, so Nanda Maharaj Vasudeva said, my dear brother, you were old enough and very anxious to get a son, and yet you had none. Now, by the grace of the Lord, you're fortunate to have a very nice son. I think that this incident is very auspicious for you, like this Vasudeva said. Actually, it was Vasudeva's son only, Krishna, but still, Vasudeva is speaking like this. He could not openly say that it is his son. So Vasudeva is saying, Nanda Maharaj, you were desiring for a son from a long time, and now the Lord has fulfilled your desire. You have a very nice son. So, uh, therefore, you are fortunate. So, what is that nice son? Only Vasudeva knows. Why is he calling him a nice son? Because actually, was according to Nanda Maharaj, Vasudeva had not even seen his son. But still, Vasudeva is saying, you have a nice son because Vasudeva knew that that nice son is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Because Vasudeva himself had carried that newborn child all the way from Mathura to Gokul and placed it at the house of Nanda Maharaj without letting anybody know. So that is the mystery of that nice son and Vasudeva praising the fortune of Nanda Maharaj. And yes, as Harshit also mentioned, Nanda Maharaj was going to have the great fortune of witnessing the childhood Leelas of Lord Krishna. Okay, the next question. Yes. So, yes. Uh, what is the analogy that Vasudeva gives uh, to 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 say that even though we have family members, sons, daughters, by nature's way, we are generally separated from one another. We can't live, even though we want, we can't live with them forever. What is the analogy? Very wonderful, striking analogy Vasudeva gives. Who can give that analogy? Anybody else who has not attempted so far, you can also attempt. Raise your hand. So I want everybody to participate, please. Okay, so let's hear from Raj Shekhar. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. It is compared with plant and creeper.
What is that? Explain that. Just plant and
Okay,
creeper
the
is not the
okay,
complete
sorry,
analogy.
sorry. The creepers and okay, when water is flowing, creepers will come, but they do
Yeah,
not stay with the plants in the water itself. They will go based on the flow, water flow.
yeah. So Vasudeva says many plants and creepers are floating on the waves of the ocean. Sometimes they come together, sometimes they are separated forever. One plant goes one way and another plant goes another way. Similarly, our family members also, we all assemble together. That time it may be very nice to live together. But after some time, in the course of the waves of time, we are separated. So, whenever there is an analogy, analogy is always given to make us understand a complex subject matter in a easy manner through some phenomena which we can relate with, which we might have witnessed around us in nature. So here we might have all seen during the rainy season or in some water flow, different straws or different objects, they cling together because of the effect of the waves of the water, flowing water. Sometimes they're also separated. So those objects which are floating have no control when we are going to meet the next object. We are going to cling on to the other objects forever. They don't have such control. They are just controlled, their movement, their coming together and their separation are simply controlled by the waves of the flowing water. The current of the water controls it. In the same way, Vasudeva is saying that all of us jivas in this material world, we are all subject to the current of Kala. Kala Pravaha is, we are all floating in the Kala Pravaha, in the flood of time. And by the influence of time, the jivas come together as one family members, as members of one family. And by the same Kala Pravaha, the family members and loved ones are separated also, much against our will. So this is a very, very beautiful analogy which can give us a very it evokes a very nice picture in our mind that how we cannot decide that I will live forever with my loved ones. There is the influence of Kala which is deciding it. This we should be conscious. Okay, the next question. Why did Nanda Maharaj inquire? Sorry, why did Vasudeva inquire about the animals of Nanda Maharaj? Why is he inquiring about the animals? Yes, Prakhar.
Prabhu, Nand Maharaj was a Vaishya, and as per
Hmm.
the scriptures, it is the duty of a Vaishya to give protection to the animals and especially to the cows. And
Yeah,
therefore, Vasudeva was anxious about the whether the cows are protected properly, the animals are this in the place of Nand Maharaj.
okay. Yes. So, any other answer, any other point anyone would like to add? Yes, Abhishek, you have something to add? Add on to what Prakhar said.
Yes, Prabhu. Especially he was inquiring about the cows because cow are the
Mm,
basis of the maintenance of religion.
mm,
They are the fountain. So he was especially asking about the cows.
yeah. Yes. So, right, what you have said is right. So Nanda Maharaj was a Vaishya. He had a uh, huge number of cows. So, especially when you are meeting somebody, your questions are based on their circumstances, their occupation, isn't it? When you meet a student, you will say, "How is your studies going on? How are your career plans going on?" When you meet a working professional, you'll probably say, "How is your professional life going on? Career growth going on?" All such things, right? When you meet devotees, you will say, "How is your sadhana going on? How is your chanting going on? Are you able to chant peacefully? Are you making spiritual progress?" Right? So, based on the kind of circumstances into which we are placed in, I mean, the other person is placed in, we ask questions according to that. Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice example from the Ramayana when Vishwamitra Muni came to the palace of Ayodhya to meet Dashrath Maharaj to ask for Rama, to take Rama with him to kill the demons who were disturbing his sacrifices in the forest. That time, Dashrath Maharaj makes an inquiry of Vishwamitra Rishi. He says, "Ahishtam yattat punarjanma jayaya." O great sage Vishwamitra Rishi, how are your efforts of conquering the repetitions of birth and death going on? Right? It's a very beautiful inquiry. Right? How are your efforts going on in the direction of becoming free from this material repetition of birth and death? A very beautiful, well thought inquiry. So whenever we meet people, we need to actually be conscious of the other person's situations, his priorities, and uh, aptly ask questions to show interest in the other person's progress. That is a very gentlemanly way of having a conversation. So, yes, so because cows are were the property of Nanda Maharaj, his whole uh, life, Vaishya's life depend on their subsistence depends on agriculture and cow protection. So therefore, Vasudeva asked that question. Okay, next one, very interesting question. Let's see who will answer this. Vasudeva also asked Nanda Maharaj, "Are all your cows getting sufficient grass and water? Please also let me know whether the place where you are now living is undisturbed and peaceful." Why did Vasudeva ask this? Tell me whether the place where you are living is it undisturbed and peaceful? What was the motive behind this question? Uh, let's see who can. Yes, Abhishek.
Yeah, Prabhu. Uh, because Kansa was a very simple man, so
Hmm.
it was already known that he will not spare even because he was already surrounded by the demonic people, so they will obviously suggest something which will be create more havoc. And due to
Hmm.
that, when the lot of civil activities happen, automatically the drought and scarcity will naturally follows.
Hmm.
So just due to the effect of like sinful activities of Kamsa, and he was afraid that Kamsa will also like kill the childs because he will
Hmm.
make all attempt to kill the its eight child. So
Yeah,
in relation to that, he was asking.
correct. Actually, indirectly, by asking this question, tell me whether the place where you're living now is free from disturbances. Is it peaceful? Actually, it shows Vasudeva's anxiety for his son Krishna's protection, his safety. So, indirectly, instead of directly asking about Krishna's safety, Vasudeva is asking, "Tell me, is everything proper? Are there disturbances?" As Abhishek said, Kamsa had already made plans to send his men and kill all the children who were born, uh, who were about 10 days old children. So he was anxious about Krishna's safety. So Srila Prabhupada says that this is spiritual anxiety. Just like in the material world, people, we all have anxiety about many things, like what will happen to my career tomorrow? Will I will I be able to achieve my goals which I have planned? Right? We have anxiety. So this is all material anxiety. Whereas the devotees of the Lord, pure devotees of the Lord, they have something called spiritual anxiety. Their only concern is uh, whether Krishna is happy, Krishna is pleased with me. And especially in Vrindavan, Mother Yashoda was very much anxious for Krishna's protection constantly. So this is called spiritual anxiety. So both may appear to be similar, material and spiritual anxiety may appear to be similar, but there is a subtle difference. Material anxiety is centered around oneself, whereas spiritual anxiety is centered around Krishna. A devotee is not concerned about his own safety, his own protection. He knows that Krishna will protect. But Vasudeva, since he was playing the part of the father of Krishna, so he was little concerned for Krishna's safety. So it is for that reason he asked that question. Okay, now the next question. If you have heard nicely what we read, then you will be able to answer this question. Yes. Hmm. So, uh, the development of religious principles, that is dharma, economic development, that is artha, and sense gratification, kama, can be achieved without difficulty when can dharma, artha, kama be achieved without any difficulty? Who can answer? You can attempt at least. Yes, Rajashekhar.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I think when cows are equally seen as citizens, then these
Mhm.
three things will be protected.
Okay, partial answer. Let's hear from Prakhar.
Prabhu, Vasudeva mentioned about cooperation. So when there is a
Yeah,
cooperation among the members of the society, then these three
yes,
elements, dharma, artha, kama, can be enjoyed by the members.
yes, that's the right answer. So let me read that part again. Vasudeva continued to say that the maintenance of religious principles, economic development, and the satisfactory execution of meeting the demands of the senses depend on cooperation among relatives, nations, and all humanity. Therefore, it is everyone's duty to see that his fellow citizens and the cows are not put into difficulty. One should see to the peace and comfort of his fellow man and the animals. The development of religious principles, economic development, and sense gratification can then be achieved without difficulty. So, what a beautiful principle it is. We should not think that uh, our dharma, artha, kama, all these are our own personal affairs. So, I can achieve it myself without any dependence on others. No, that is not at all possible. We are very much interdependent. We are interdependent. So cooperation is very much required. So, for example, if there is no cooperation, and if, let's say there is a fight or a communal riot happening in your locality, can you peacefully sit and perform your religious activities? Or can you peacefully go to your job to earn your money? You will be concerned about the safety of your family members in your absence. So, dharma, artha, kama, these are all possible only when there is mutual cooperation among the members of the society. Not only mankind, not only human beings, but also animals, especially cows. So this is a very beautiful principle we get to know. See, when we study the Bhagavatam, there are different layers of knowledge that are revealed to us. We get both Vyavaharik knowledge and Paramarthik knowledge. Vyavaharik knowledge means knowledge that is required for our day to day life, our sustenance, right? For example, this cooperation among all the people is an example for Vyavaharik knowledge. It's required for my daily living in this world. At the same time, you get Paramarthik knowledge. Paramarthik is spiritual knowledge. How do we actually become dear to Krishna? How to serve Krishna? What is the mood of a pure devotee when he is serving Krishna? All this is Paramarthik knowledge, which we also get. So, of course, the main focus is Paramarthik knowledge, spiritual knowledge, but as a byproduct, we also get Vyavaharik Gyan, which makes our living in this material world much more hassle free, much more meaningful. Okay, last question for today, and then we close the session. Yes. According to Nanda Maharaj, okay, who is a person in real knowledge? According to Nanda Maharaj, who is a person in real knowledge and why? Who is a knowledgeable person according to Nanda Maharaj and why? Apart from Rajashekar, anybody else would like to attempt? Last question, last opportunity for today. Yes, Alankrita Mataji.
A person who knows about law of karma,
Hmm.
Nanda
Why?
explains. Prabhu.
Yes, that's the right answer. Why? Second part of the question. Why?
I'm not sure, Prabhu.
Okay. Rajashekar would like to say why.
Then we can be equanimous, Prabhu. If we know the uh, knowledge of our activities, irrespective of
Hmm.
either it is good or bad, we can be
Hmm.
equanimous because it is a the God-driven life.
Hmm.
This
Yeah.
is my understanding,
Very
Prabhu.
good. See, yesterday, yesterday we heard Kamsa speaking so much philosophy, and we remarked there that Kamsa was trying to use the philosophy to cover up his mistakes. And he was saying about the same law of karma, and he said that nothing is in our hands, everything is predestined. Me killing all your six children is also predestined. So, how demons use or how demons perceive the law of karma, we saw yesterday. Now, today we are seeing how devotees like Nanda Maharaj, how do they perceive the law of karma? So, let us read that part, last part once again. So, Nanda Maharaj is replying to Vasudeva and he is trying to console Vasudeva. So he's saying, my dear Vasudeva, I know that you are very much aggrieved because the cruel king Kamsa has killed all your sons born of Devaki. Although the last child was a daughter, Kamsa could not kill her and she has entered into the celestial planets. My dear friend, do not be aggrieved. We are all being controlled by our past unseen activities. Everyone is subjected to his past deeds, and one who is conversant with the philosophy of karma and its reaction is a man in knowledge. Such a person will not be aggrieved at any incident, happy or miserable. Right? This is the point. So, Nanda Maharaj is using the philosophy of karma to console the aggrieved Vasudeva. And he's also saying, don't worry. Uh, yes, things are happening in our life. It is not under our control. There are many things happening in our life which is not under our control. It is all reaction of our own activities. Right? This is the right perception a devotee should have. And Lord Brahma confirms this in the 14th chapter of the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. We shall be seeing that, where Brahma offers prayers to Krishna. And Brahma says, Tattenu kampam susamikshamaanaha bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam. A devotee, when he is going through miserable conditions in his life, he should think like this, Brahma says. How should he think? He should think that actually I am suffering because of the reactions of my own past sinful activities. But since I am trying to become a devotee of Krishna, Krishna is so merciful. Actually, I should have suffered even more, but Krishna has reduced the intensity of my suffering. So let me tolerate these miseries which are caused by my own doing, and let me constantly render devotional service to Krishna. So Brahmaji says, when somebody lives his life in this way, for such a person, mukti is sure to come. He has inherited. He is a. He has inherited mukti. Daya bhak. The word used in that shloka is daya bhak. Like you know, uh, daya bhak means, according to the law of inheritance, one who is a legal possessor of the property of his ancestors. He's called Dayadi or Dayabhak in Sanskrit. So Lord Brahma says, one who lives in this mood that actually I should have suffered more because of my sinful activities, but Krishna is so merciful, he has reduced my sinful reactions and he has reduced the intensity of my suffering. Now I should become more dependent on Krishna and I should constantly engage in devotional service to Krishna. If one thinks like that, for such a person, for such a devotee, mukti or liberation is 100% assured. So this is the mood in which Nanda Maharaj is saying. So if we understand, so Nanda Maharaj is saying, one who is conversant with the philosophy of karma and its reaction is a person in real knowledge, and such a person will not be aggrieved, will not be disturbed at any incident, whether it is so-called happy incident or miserable incident, because he knows it is because of his own doing, and Krishna has actually reduced his suffering. So therefore he will not be disturbed. So this is the right understanding. And like this, we have many, many gems that we can discover in the Krishna book, which are very valuable, which we can meditate upon, and which we can implement in our daily lives. We will discover more such gems. We will continue to read in the next session, that is tomorrow. Please do join us at 8 p.m. We will close the session for today. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Ki Jai. Vishwa Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.